What's up, guys? Coach Jestyn with PNWBJJ, and I'm super excited about today's episode. Here today with the great Sonia Sillan. Thank you for coming on the channel. Really appreciate you. Looking forward to what you have to show us later and everything you have to say about jiu-jitsu. She is the owner and the head instructor at Combat Arts Academy here in sunny Seattle, and you guys have been in business for a while. You're a fixture, a pillar of the Pacific Northwest jiu-jitsu scene, I would say. Do you want to say a little bit about what brought you to jiu-jitsu, just to kind of start us off? Because I know you've had kind of an interesting arc to the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. This was never actually my dream to run a gym. So the way I got into it, I was a year post-hip surgery back in 2009, and I was doing the boot camp class at 24-Hour Fitness. And one of the instructors was covering that day, and he was like, we'll do some triangles and this stuff for ab work because I do jiu-jitsu. And I was really interested in trying class, so I tried one. I sucked. I was horrible. It was somersault guard passing with the amazing Cindy Hales, by the way. So she was my very first introduction into jiu-jitsu.
Awesome.
And it's been almost 16 years.
And you're still doing it.
Mm-hmm. Still doing it.
We had Cindy on the channel recently. She's great. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you had, I think prior to that, you had trained some martial arts before. Is it Taekwondo that you started in?
I was 9. My mom, hi Mom, she made my sister and I take Taekwondo classes for self-defense back when 24-Hour Fitness used to be Hearts Athletic Club in Ballinger.
Okay.
So kind of by Shoreline. And at first I was like, I don't like this. I don't want to do it. But I made friends. This was also back when it wasn't quite watered down. It's become a little too much like of a business in belt factories. But this was back when Taekwondo was like pretty legit at the time. And so I was 9. When I was 14, I started coaching kids.
Okay.
When I was 17, I had my own adult classes. And then when I was 20, I started doing jiu-jitsu. It was summer quarter at the UW, so I was taking a full load. I was working, I was teaching Taekwondo, and I was driving to Soto for jiu-jitsu.
Wow, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. Did you own the Taekwondo school at the time?
No.
But you were teaching classes. Yeah. But still, that is a lot on your plate, which is kind of your MO. I know you always have a lot of things going on. Yeah.
Recently had a nice enlightening conversation about why that is, and I think it's not that I like to be busy. It's that I like to take on too much, but not in a bad way, because I always want to do better or do more, or just make things just a little better. So I keep changing things.
That's a good trait to have. Well, so
usually.
Usually. I suppose there's always such a thing as excess, but your background, because you mentioned going to UW, your background, is it linguistics or something similar?
Yes, I have 2 degrees, Bachelor of Science in Speech and Hearing Sciences, and then I had done a degree audit and realized I was 5 core classes short of getting a linguistics degree. So I have a Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics, so it was a double degree. And then for funsies, I had a minor in Spanish.
Wow. Okay. And what was the plan with that? Like, what was the jiu-jitsu school? I assume was not like.
No, I was looking to go into either speech language pathology or audiology.
Okay.
So the following year, I think I'd got my blue belts that year that I graduated. And the following year, my then partner wanted to open up a gym. And so I was taking prereqs for graduate school because I was looking at potentially physical therapy. And then I ended up going down a different path with the gym. So I was full-time working and full-time gym. We started with 6 different partners.
Oh, wow. All working together on that.
Working together is a relative term, but yes.
And how did that work out?
Well, I had a friend recently ask me for advice because they were looking into going into business with a few friends. And what I told them was you need to explicitly have all of the hard conversations, like how you handle conflict, what happens if somebody sleeps with a student in the gym, handling finances, what happens if you're the negative, who pays what if somebody wants out, and talk through all the hard conversations. And it has to be somebody that you trust explicitly, that you can have conflict with.
Okay,
And
no,
if you
that's
can't
interesting.
deal with conflict, don't go into business with that person.
That makes a lot of sense. Everything seems good and attractive if you're with somebody you've trained with and you have a fairly good rapport with them. But yeah, what do you do when money comes into the equation? That can change a lot of things.
Or when things are unfair or imbalanced, because it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. If you can't communicate, that's how the resentment builds. And then at some point, you've spun the narrative out to be something entirely different than what the actual truth is, and the other person spun the narrative over here too. So now you're on two completely different pages, and then you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why can't we get along? Why, like, I hate you. Like, what's happening? Like, boom. So that's where the communication is really important.
One for you, with your background in linguistics and speech pathology, you've done very well in business. So you've run this academy. It's amazing. You at one point had 2 academies. You also have a strength and fitness center next door to this one. So multiple businesses. And from my understanding, you're pretty much self-made with all of those things. You didn't go to like a formal schooling program for like a business degree or something similar. So how did that, I guess, would you recommend that approach? Has it been good? Break that down for me.
I was on a different podcast who asked the same thing, like to give advice to somebody else looking to start a gym by the bootstraps. Just because you're good at jiu-jitsu and you're good at teaching doesn't mean you're good at business. So business and coaching are 2 different things. And most people are either too coaching focused. That's why you have the hobbyist gyms where, and not hobbyist in terms of the level of jiu-jitsu, but hobbyist in terms of the coach who has a full-time job and they charge like $50 a month, right? That is entirely different than a gym who's a full-time gym and now has to like make the money to make payroll and rents, right? And so for me, it was a lot of failing up. Like, I have failed so much, it's stupid. Like even winter this last year, like we weren't looking at numbers too much, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? Because inflation is real, recession is real. And so the last few months, like we've been really working on figuring out how to make all of the revenue work, because our expenses, like we're a large scale operation.
Sure.
And so we really have to make sure all of our ducks are in a row. So even as an established business, we still have our ups and downs. And so for anybody going into business, it's understanding what you need, like looking at your expenses, your operations, operating costs. Are you having payroll? Are you a one-man show? How are you getting leads in? What is your sales system looking like? How are you marketing? What is your process? When they come in the door, what do you do? Is it, all right, here's class. Okay, cool. So what do you think? Okay, do you want to think about it? Okay, I'll see you later maybe? No, like you have to have a system in place that's effective. Like you kind of saw earlier when I was talking to your partner. Who's not trained yet in 2 years.
Correct.
Right. Yep. And within like a 3-minute conversation, I think I had her convinced to come in for a self-defense workshop.
It looked like it was going that way. No, I agree.
And that wasn't me being salesy, but it's because I really believe in what I do. And so I'm not afraid to ask, like, hey, you know what? Like, if you're interested in even trying this, like, this would be a really good way of getting your toes wet. That way you have the exposure and the experience to make a better decision.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, so for those people who might be thinking about starting a gym or who are new to gym ownership, that includes myself, what are do you use specific mechanisms for that? There's the spiel, or there's the talking to them directly, and I agree plays a huge part. But in terms of like setting up self-defense workshops or trial classes, or how do you structure those sorts of things?
So right now I'm looking at building out some events and things, and really the biggest advice for that piece is building out SOPs, so standard operating procedures. Okay. And it's starting with the basics. Like, what is your process for new people? Do you have the front desk person or the coaches managing it? So let's say you're not there and your coaches are running classes. What happens when somebody walks in? So having that system in place, because even recently I've had coaches like, oh crap, I forgot, somebody walked in looking for classes. Great, who was it? I don't know. Oh boy. Right? So the protocol, you greet them. What's your name? Awesome. Do you have experience? No? Fantastic. Yes? Fantastic. Because again, either way, we can take care of you. You know what? Like, normally we have trial classes going, like I don't have the front desk here. Can I get your name, number, and email? And that way what we can do is get you in for a trial class next week. How does that sound? That's a system.
Sure.
And that's what I want my staff to do when somebody walks in looking for a trial class if my front desk isn't here. If front desk is here, it's the talking through goals, what they're interested in, because we have Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. The strength is a separate business, and so that's handled differently.
Got it.
Sometimes we do have crossover in the beginning, but it's the awesome, let me get you scheduled for a trial class. It's not it's not a matter of when do you want to come in. It's I have a class available this day or this day. Which one works better for you?
Got it.
Oh, you know what? I'm not available in the evenings. Great, we have noons. Oh, but I work. Then what? You know what? Like, I totally get it. Like, private lessons actually might be a better option for you if you have the resources for it. Because I've had a couple of coaches recently, we've talked about private lessons and how to ask for them. Because it's hard. You're asking your friends for money.
Right.
Because you want to give your advice for free. But you only have so much time. Like, you work full time, right?
Yeah.
You have a full-time job and an academy and a personal life.
Right.
Which, as a new business owner, honestly, the personal life's kind of out the window. But
It's true. It's not a lot. Well, so setting up those different options for them, private lessons, and
so
feeling comfortable
with the
charging.
private lessons, like again, that right there would have been the a great opportunity to ask for the private lessons. Because I've had a couple people recently come in whose schedule's a little bit iffy, or they wanted a supplement to their training because they want to level up quicker.
Okay, yeah.
And so, like, hey, you know what? Let's set up a weekly for the next 4 weeks, and then we'll reassess after your 4th session to see how you're feeling.
Okay.
But then, even with private lessons, though, an important part for anybody, students, coaches, doesn't matter who it is, goal setting. What are your goals? Why are you here? Right?
On an individual level for each.
Yeah. Are you here for self-defense? Great, let's talk about that. And then, as you're training, let's keep that in mind. Are you here for fitness and fun? Do you want to compete? Do you want to fight MMA? Have you had this yet? A beginner walking in, hey bro, I want to fight UFC.
A couple of times. Yep. I admire the enthusiasm.
But then how do you handle that one?
Well, I guess from my standpoint, it's always we're a gi-based jiu-jitsu school, and if you are looking to compete MMA, we'd recommend starting for your grappling background. You can do this. Eventually, you're going to have to add in some striking training, and I can recommend some good gyms for that. But we are not an MMA academy. Something to that effect.
Absolutely. And we have Muay Thai. We have Jiu-Jitsu. We're technically primarily a gi-based gym, but recently I've started cycling in no-gi for like 4 to 6 weeks. So I make everybody do no-gi.
Oh, yeah?
If they don't want to. Everybody, myself included, even though I prefer the gi. But if somebody comes in wanting UFC and MMA, awesome. What are your goals? Why? Well, I just really enjoy watching like UFC and fighting. Okay, so let's talk about you. Like, why do you want to train? Well, because I just wanted to like get into something for myself. Okay, so here's what we do. We do gi jiu-jitsu. It will help you set up a foundation for your grappling, right? And honestly, if you're interested in MMA, and I tell everybody this, compete first, because it's a safer way of getting competition experience without having your face punched in, because that's a terrifying experience to having 4-ounce gloves coming at your face, right, for the first time ever. So it's better to have that experience in competition for jiu-jitsu. So honestly, I think your best starting place is in jiu-jitsu, gi or no-gi. And then from there, after like establishing 6 months to a year, then looking at adding on striking, which I'm happy to help you find a good striking gym. How does that sound? That sounds great. Okay. Awesome. Are you free tomorrow for a trial class? I am, absolutely.
Nice. Nicely done.
But I want to fight karate.
Yeah.
Same thing. What are your goals? Like the parents coming in like, oh yeah, my kid really wanted to do karate. Same thing. What are your goals? Great. This is how we can help you. Like you want discipline and you want them to learn how to stand up for themselves and to not get bullied. Like karate is a striking-based art. We teach grappling, which looks scary at first because it's wrestling, but we don't teach you how to hurt somebody. Punching and kicking, well, I tell all my kids, if you punch and kick somebody, you're probably going to get in trouble. If you didn't start it, I'll be okay. But if you punch and kick somebody back, even though you're learning jiu-jitsu, that tells me that you're reacting out of anger. Sure. So I'd rather you restrain the person and sit on them, because I know at this point you're just controlling them.
Yeah.
So we teach our kid how to control situations and de-escalate instead of fighting back.
Okay.
Because it's true, right? Like I had an altercation last weekend at Grappling Industries.
Oh, really?
I didn't. One of my kids competing. Freaking tough fought battles. He had 8 matches.
Wow.
And his opponent, she triangled him in the first gi match, and then he and her fought in the finals for no gi.
Okay.
And they went to go congratulate the other kid and the parent. And that parent got into my kid's face saying, "You bit her." And then I walk over because his dad calls me over, and they're kind of like really heated. They're going at it, and I'm like, okay, here's what I saw. I seen the video why you could think that. And then we talk it through. I'm like, look, I understand. I don't believe that happened. If that did happen, we're going to have words because I teach respect and humility. However, if there are teeth marks, let me know, because there's no way there wasn't with how intense that fight was. Because
Sure.
It was a fight. And one of my dad, and he had every right to be heated because this other dad is being kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, walk away, take a breath, calm down, because again, I'm not trying to add fuel. I'm trying to de-escalate, and that's what we're teaching, and that's what we're learning in jiu-jitsu. It's not to fight.
Right.
It's to de-escalate and control with the ability to cause harm. Yeah.
Gentle art, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, keeping a cool head. That's you would think it would be the direct fighting aspect. That like I think that's what most people are worried about. Popularity is like, oh, if I was in there and we were doing grappling, they're hesitant to train. They've never trained before.
Yeah.
And I have heard this before, where they're like, well, if I got on the mat, I just don't know. Like maybe I'd freak out and hurt somebody. I'm like, that. I have not seen that really happen in jiu-jitsu, but I have seen at plenty of tournaments, whether it's wrestling or judo or jiu-jitsu, parents get heated over kids' matches. So that has been a thing.
I've seen that happen on day one at different gyms where they don't have any sort of like onboarding in, and they're sparring on day one with no sense of what they're doing and no framework to the ground game. That's where I've seen injuries happen, people freaking out.
Well, if you could speak on that, because I think you have a reputation, your gym has a reputation for being really good as far as having a safety record, and I know you split your jiu-jitsu program into 2 different levels and that sort of thing. But yeah, as far as the framework for creating a safe environment, what are your thoughts there?
It ties back into communication. So we have an intro program, and then we have a level 2 program. And I don't let anybody move out of intro unless you've shown control and you've shown that you respond to communication. Because if we're rolling and you grab my gi and you do this, me personally, I'm going to get a little pissed off because I'm not trying to go competitively. Like, if you're bigger than me, if you're stronger than me, if you're a new white belt, like, I don't want to roll competitively with you.
Sure.
I'm too broken to do that. I've been through it. Like, I want to be playful and I want to have fun. Every match doesn't need to be a tournament match because in the gym, we're not trying to win, right? We're trying to learn.
Yep.
And so from day one, we instill that mindset into every student. Like, this is why we're here. We're here to do jiu-jitsu. We're here to learn this. And then we give them a framework. These are what the positions are. This is what guard is. This is why you pass the guard and how you pass the guard. This is how you keep your guard. This is what a submission is. This is what it feels like. This is how you tap. Because the people that got hurt, they've never been put in submissions before. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, my arm. Blah, what happened?
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
But then with that comes conversations, because with people that have experience, it's a lot of reteaching on mindset. Because if the new white belt has a judo background and they take it out quickly and hard, and then you're like, oh man, I'm a purple. It's game on, let's go.
Yeah.
And then you get the armbar and you pull it quickly, but you pop their elbow. Whose fault is it?
See the purple
It's the purple belts.
Yeah.
Because you know better, right? And so at that point, it's the purple belt's job to be like, oh, hey, how long have you been training?
Mm-hmm.
How much experience do you have? That was a solid takedown. Okay, you're a judo whatever belt, but you have 1 month of jiu-jitsu. Okay, great. That's helpful. That's helpful for me to know, because if you start at this pace, I'm going to match that intensity, and that's a competition intensity.
Right.
Because judo has what, 2 dials? 0?
Yeah.
100. Same thing with wrestling.
10%. Yeah.
Right. In jiu-jitsu, if you have the 2 dials, you're going to go home wrecked every day. So you have to have dials in between, because learning doesn't happen at 0 or 100. It happens in between. Like dead drilling at 0%, it's good to get the movement down. I had a private lesson with a brand new white belt today. He's 2 lessons in one class, and we're doing arm bars. And can I actually show you how we did arm bars? Head that way. So what we did, and if you know Preet Mickelson, he's very big on eco-style training.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
It's not, let's go to mount, step over, and do all the steps. What we did today, we started here, and I explained why we control the head and the pinch here, and then we had them explore top and bottom, how to hold this position and how to get the elbow out. So when I say go, just get your elbow to the mat. Go. Right? Because for the arm bar, the finish is easy, but it's how do I maintain the shoulder positioning?
Sure.
And then we added the arms into the mix, where I hold the arm here, however I want to, and then when I say go, same thing, I'm trying to maintain for like 3 to 5 seconds, and then find the finish slowly. Go. Because then for you, it teaches you how to be calm on bottom, and how we can work together as a team.
Makes
once
sense.
we played that, then we went into the full sequencing of from here, of controlling the arm, getting to here, and once I got to here, the bottom person still tried to get the arm back as I pop back. So we added that aliveness aspect of training, which really helped the brand new person internalize.
Right,
But if we just did dead drilling at 0% intensity, you're not going to retain anything.
And then set them up to spar later where they're just...
If we didn't show the end game first, and I went from mount to armbar, you're going to leave confused, like what the heck is an armbar and how the heck do I get there?
Right.
Because again, it's explaining that this is a hinge joint. I'm isolating this and this to add pressure right here to add a hyperextension in. Right? So explaining what is an armbar.
Yeah.
And then, all my friends out here, what's a tap? How do you tap?
Right.
The day one person, you say tap. Tap? Okay. What do you mean? What do you mean? Tap? We explain, you do this. It might be this with somebody else on a different mat space.
Nobody knows.
It might be, if you tap yourself, maybe you have it back, you can't see it.
Sure.
If you tap like this, I've seen this happen so many times.
Yeah, they're not going to feel
No,
it.
tap your partner, say tap. We talk about if something pops, if your partner's making noises, you let go.
Yeah.
You don't push through. There's no need for an ego. So with an intro, we also talk about dials and control and going lightly.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about what a shrimp is, because also too, how many times has a beginner walked into your gym and you say shrimp or hip escape or elbow escape, and they're like, what?
Right.
And they do this awkward thing where they're kind of like,
yeah. Yep.
up and down the mat space, and that's a habit that they have. So then I have like transplant purples coming and shrimping without having any mat connection, and they're like, why do I keep getting smashed? Because there's no kickstand or any foot positioning to keep them in place.
Right.
So we teach that from day one too.
So more of a concept base. Are you a fan of the, not to converge into the ecological territory, I guess, are you a fan or just more concept based in general?
I bring Preet Mickelson up here once a year.
Okay.
Like a week at a time. Like, he is one of my favorite people. He is the reason why my open guard game is the way it is from like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So a lot of my retention stuff came from Preet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I do a blend. I like to, because it's hard to get into technique and the eco style if you're not sure what you're doing. And so I like to show some things and then play eco or play eco into technique.
Got it.
Like with guard stuff, if we're showing expert things, it's sometimes hard to get into ecological play, but I'll do it to maintain the position, like trying to extend the leg while the top person figures out how to break the position.
Got it. Okay, no, that makes sense. That
So
absolutely
just games
makes
and
sense.
constraints, because if you say, all right, pass and sweep, there's too many options.
Yeah,
There's
it's
too many
overwhelming.
options. So
And so is that same philosophy for both kids and adults classes? Like, do you teach them roughly the same that way?
I've been playing a lot with my kids' classes, but I do keep the curriculum consistent for them. Because if every day is a different thing, they don't retain anything.
Yeah.
But for kids, adding a lot of game-based, like we'll do some like guard passing, for example. We'll do a lot of drilling and for the movements. Like, here's what a gorilla scoot looks like. Here's how to do it on a dot, because we have little dots from kids.
Got it.
Now here's what it is on a person. And then we're going to play a game. Top person, you're trying to touch your knee on their belly. Bottom person, you're trying to pull them in a closed guard.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then we might add a couple more constraints or change it up a little bit. Okay, top person, your only goal is to go chest to chest. Bottom person, you want to keep your feet on the hips for 10 seconds and then you win.
Okay. And so then do you structure like the for people who don't know, who are watching, the traditional old school way of teaching jiu-jitsu was the hour and a half long class, where it was like half an hour of warm-ups, half an hour of technique, and the half hour, no. I'm seeing the definitive no. So how do your classes?
It depends. I haven't been coaching adults as much lately because life's been lifing. Garrett, actually, my other half, has been doing a lot of the adults lately. But generally for me personally, when I teach an hour and a half class, and I do for level 2, like I like the hour and a half format. We tried 2 hours for a while. The 2 hour class was lovely, but it wasn't schedule appropriate for most people.
Got it.
But it was honestly the best way to learn because you get a little bit of everything. But generally, if we're comp prepping or people are competing, I will turn up the intensity and we'll go through hard warm-ups. But generally, we will warm up with games and drills. Like maybe it's a takedown drill or game, a little game of tag.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have a silly game. Can I show you?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead and stand up on your feet. Okay. Take your open hand, tag my head. Okay, that's your only goal, is to tag my head.
Okay.
Go. Right? Like,
awesome.
It just gets really fun.
Love it. Yeah.
You're playing games, you're having fun, and you're learning jiu-jitsu without realizing it.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And so, it depends on what we're doing, but oftentimes I'll do games like that to warm up. Maybe it's like a standing game where we're tied up and I'm trying to tag your foot.
Okay.
Foot tag games.
Yeah.
It might be a technical warm-up, it might be sweep or sweep, it might be guard passing warm-ups, but I won't do line drills every single class.
Got it. Okay. No, that's cool.
And there's a give and take, because doing line drills, I believe, is really important because you're getting the repetition in and your body gets used to moving in that way, like sit-throughs, for example.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're doing things without good form and technique, it's also a waste of time.
Sure.
Right?
Learning bad habits.
And then it's really hard to change habits.
Yeah. Right? Okay.
There's a positive and a negative to that. So, like, if we're doing guard passing stuff, maybe we'll do some gorilla scoots or things that mimic the technique, right? Maybe we're doing a lot of takedown stuff, and it's break balls and technical stand-ups.
Do you spend a large time on takedowns and that sort of thing? I know that's something that's come up in multiple interviews with different schools. Is the lack of. So
I don't advocate starting from knees when we're rolling.
Okay.
We can start seated. We can start in combat base. We can start from our feet. And it's not so much the mat space, because we have a large mat space. Like we can all start standing. Even back when we had half the space and we had a full mat, we'd still do stand up because I spent white belt, blue belt, purple belt, not knowing how to get to the ground except to full guard.
Right. Yeah.
We learned the double leg, but it's the wrong double leg where your knee goes where your foot should be.
Sure.
Where you can't shoot that first step in, right? I learned a hip throw, but I didn't understand the hip throw or when to use it or how to use it. And I just had this chat with my ladies class today because somebody asked a question about stand-up and applying judo because she couldn't figure out how to get this to work. I didn't really hit trips and takedowns until like maybe a year ago in rolling.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because of the kids class. Teaching in the kids class is why my game is as good as it is, because I have to figure out how to break down these techniques to 3-year-olds.
Okay. Right.
And part of it for me as a head coach too, like I don't have to teach the intro classes.
Okay.
I can give them to my purples and my browns, but I want to control the narrative of our new people coming in.
Sure.
So I'd rather hand off my more advanced classes so I can teach the beginners.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. Actually, the inverse of what most people would think. That's less intuitive, but totally makes sense now that you're saying it that way.
I mean, isn't that jiu-jitsu? What we do is the opposite of intuitive.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, like I would start messing with the kids with takedowns and judo trips, and then I'd advance up to the more experienced kids, and then the smaller white belts, and then the like blue belts, and then the more advanced adults. And then I remember I was rolling with a friend, and all of a sudden, like I hit like a double leg on him, and the look on his face and my face, like what the heck just happened? I'm like, okay, now it works.
Right.
Because I just didn't have that application component. I could teach it, I just couldn't do it.
Sure.
And so we do spend a good amount of time doing stand-up.
Okay.
And it might be like a 5-minute part of warm-up. It might be part of class. It might be half the class. It might be all the class, or maybe not for a couple of weeks.
Got it. But it's definitely an integrated part of it.
Yeah. Like my 4-year-old loves to hit a Sochigari. She, I think your back was turned, but earlier she grabbed my collar sleeve and just went for a seinagi and was like, haha.
Nice.
And
That's
I
awesome.
haven't taught her outside of class.
Okay.
These are only from the kids' classes that she's learned these.
That's, as a judo guy, I'm happy to hear that.
I think Jestyn actually captured one of her Sochigaris on photo at, I think 2 reps ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, then you also mentioned something that I definitely didn't want to forget about. It was so you did like a mandatory no-gi training session. Like,
yep.
It wasn't punitive. You weren't punishing your students, but some of them might have taken it that way. No.
We have a weekly class on Monday evenings and Tuesday noons.
Okay.
But the problem, if you don't like no-gi, you don't come to class.
Right.
You come on Tuesday evening or Wednesday, but just not that Monday. So my personal philosophy, I think good gi and no-gi breeds good jiu-jitsu. I prefer gi. I like my spider guard. I like my grips. I like my lapel chokes. Boner is amazing.
Yeah.
But no-gi for frames, for escaping, for scrambles, for...
Sure.
I mean, head and arm choke. There's such a big part of our game that's missing from no-gi.
Yep.
And so I think, a year ago, I had some pushback. I had the coaches who were a little bit apprehensive, but excited. Because it was I don't know how the students will take this. It's a huge change. People don't like no-gi. We don't like the stuff we're not good at. I don't like running. I'm getting better at running. I still hate running.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there. I struggled, so I'm doing some Olympic lifting. I struggle with clean and jerks and snatches because my shoulder has been injured. And a couple of weeks ago, I hit a legit snatch. My weights are going up. I can do some clean and jerks. I kind of like Olympic lifting now. It's really fun.
Right.
But 3 weeks ago, I was like, nope. I don't like this. We avoid the things that we're not good at.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. We hate it. So the first time doing that, everybody's like, no, do we have to? I don't want to. It's stupid. By week 3, because it was a 4-week cycle, that very first one, everybody was like, do we have to go back to gi? I don't want to.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's okay.
Even right now, people are excited that we're in a no-gi season.
And so you'll run every class no-gi then?
Mm-hmm. Intro stays gi.
Okay.
And in the women's class, I leave it up to the ladies for the level 2. Yeah.
Okay.
And then open mat is whatever people want. Even if we're in a gi season, if people come in no-gi, it's fine. If you walk in no-gi and you ask me to roll, I'm not going to be like, no, thank you. I'll be like, yeah, sure. And I'll take my top off.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah. I'm pretty partial to the gi, and especially like as I'm getting older, I find it's easier to slow people down, and like there's all sorts of advantages.
Yep.
And I just like it. But yeah, I now, like I've moved into a stage of life where I have to force myself to do no-gi sometimes.
If we're rolling no-gi and I'm being lazy, I will just work on retention.
Sure.
I'll just go spinny spin all day.
Well, then because you have Muay Thai here that you offer, is there any integration between those classes? I suppose there's students that cross over in both programs, but do you do any striking in the jiu-jitsu?
No, and I've been meaning to add on once in a while jits with hits class because it's really good for self-defense. There are moments where I'll be like, hey, open hand, just tap a partner in the head. And not, these, but actually open and just touch, because if you can do that, it means you can punch them.
Yeah.
So I'll add some things in like that depending on the class. But there hasn't quite been any integration yet.
No, that's fair.
We have crossover. We've had people interested in MMA, but usually they end up gravitating towards tournaments in jiu-jitsu or fighting in Muay Thai.
Got it. Well, but you've had a fairly extensive background, I think, in striking out. So you competed Muay Thai and kickboxing.
So I've had 11 fights.
Okay.
The first 3 were MMA.
Got it.
And I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh, it was early on?
I was, I think, a purple belt 2016, 2017.
Okay.
And my first fight was after a rough breakup. And I was like, yeah, I'll fight. 1 month into Muay Thai.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 2.
Wow.
I had a little kickboxing smoker, a baby fight 1 month in, and then I think a month or 2 after that was my first MMA fight. I did not know how to take a punch. I was walking into punches. I had no range management.
Got it.
First round, I think I slipped twice, and then I caught a shot and had a flash knockout. Woke up on the ground with my guard game, which
Nice.
basically she avoided because she knew I grappled and she wasn't big on grappling, and so the technical stand-up saved my face. Thank you.
Nice.
And that fight went into a majority draw because she won the first round 10-8, and I won the next 2 rounds 10-9.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I fought at Battle in the Barn. I think that's Cody Houston's guard.
Okay.
And then that one, again, I had no takedown game, but my grappling game got better. My ground and pound game, there's an arm in front of me, and I ignored that because I was too busy trying to punch her face. And then the next one, I fought 5 days later on King of the Cage, which is really stupid.
Wow. Between fights, 5 days.
I didn't know any better. My coach was like, yeah, sure. Like, you seem fine, you're good. I had a full 3-round fight.
Man.
And then I fought 5 days later. I was in my head. I didn't know the rules because it was full elbows, no shins. It was on a casino, so and it was a pro-am card. I was better than my opponent. I knew that. First shot caught my eye, went down. I could have fought a ground game. I mentally gave up.
Gotcha.
It was a 32-second TKO. My contact popped out. I was disoriented, but really, that was an excuse. I mentally gave up. I quit, which was a lesson, and that's one of the lessons I teach our guys too. Because when you don't have that mental sharpness, you can't push through. So when things get hard, do you fight or do you quit? Right? So I tell all of my fighters, like, I'm gonna make you cry before you fight, because if I can push you to your breaking point and you can push through that, you're safe in the ring. So after fight number 3, I ended up switching exclusively to striking for fights. I was like, my striking's garbage. Let me figure this stuff out. And so I think I had 8 more fights that were all Muay Thai and kickboxing. It wasn't until my very last fight, which was September of 19 before COVID hit, that I finally figured out how to fight Muay Thai.
Okay.
And then COVID hit, and then I got pregnant, and then here we are.
Do you train any striking at this point all anymore?
I will coach it a little bit. I haven't really had time to get back into striking, even though I want to. I'm focusing on weight training and stability building before I get back into Muay Thai.
No, that makes sense.
More time in my life.
Sure. If someone there is 38 hours in every day would be great.
Right? If only. That'd be great.
But then you have an assistant coach that runs the Muay Thai program.
I'm a head coach.
Okay.
So Joe is my head coach for the Muay Thai program. And he is actually one who created his job, because he was working at Met Market, but then he loved the kids here enough where he would just show up and help with the kids' classes. And then he started helping more with the Muay Thai classes. And then he's like, Coach, I gotta spend more time at work. They're gonna change my schedule. I can't help as much. I was like, no. So we shifted some things. He started doing some cleaning and coaching, and he was full-time at the gym. And then he started taking over some of the adult classes. And at some point last year, I had to shuffle my schedule because I was coaching 25 hours a week, I think, last year. And I had to scale back from some of the Muay Thai classes too. And so I stepped back from all of the Muay Thai classes and put them in my place.
Okay.
And it's been pretty great. Because I started teaching Muay Thai when I was 5 months pregnant.
You started teaching when you were 5 months pregnant?
I had never taught Muay Thai before in my life. 5 months pregnant. My coach had left as COVID. And so I took over the entire Muay Thai program. I almost canned it, actually. Yeah.
Wow. But made it work, and it's still right. That's kind of been a thematic element for your story. I think it feels like because your original, when you were starting the gym originally, wasn't something to the effect of maybe your coach had moved or something like that, wasn't? Or maybe I'm mistaken about that.
We started the gym originally because my ex really wanted to start a gym. There's no anything else. We went through the whole being blacklisted from every gym in the area stuff back in the day. Got it. And so it's been a lot of change, though, because I was never the head coach of the program.
Okay.
And so it was a lot of but you're a purple belt. You can't tell me what to do as a black belt. It's my business. Right. If people quit, it is literally my business. And so we went through a lot of change. I've been under 6 affiliations.
That was a big question I wanted to ask you. Just what you thought, because I know you've been vocal about affiliations. So to just my 2 cents, they kind of almost seem in some ways like a holdover from a different era of jiu-jitsu, but I don't know what you think about them as far as just their general utility for the art, or whether,
when they're done with good intention. So everything's about intention, right? It honestly depends on the intention behind the affiliation. And as a gym, are you doing it because you think you can't survive without it, or because it's a genuinely good relationship, right? Because I've been on both sides of that. Right?
Okay, got it. What were the positives you might have taken away through
having an affiliation?
Yeah.
You have connections, you have other gyms, different perspectives, different people to learn from. So I think there's a lot of benefit that way. But that's also the benefit of having an open door policy for your gym.
Sure.
Like, I've had students who train here, but their head coach is a different gym. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. I've had people who moved to other gyms and they were afraid to tell me, but I kind of figured it out. Why? Because they like the vibe better. They roll harder. I'm like, awesome, great. Come back and visit on Sundays.
Sure.
So I have a really open gym policy in that regard. Like our Sunday women's classes, it's open door as long as you have a home gym. There's no drop-in fee.
Cool.
And the reason why for that one, like if you have somebody who mat hops a lot, like, it's not as frequent now, but back in the day, people would go to different open mats to beat the crap out of other people.
Yeah.
But they have no home gym. There's no accountability. So if you don't have a home gym, you pay a drop-in fee.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But Sunday women's classes and open mat, like as long as you have a home gym, you're more than welcome to come play.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, what were the negatives, the way you see it, with the affiliations? Or what experiences might you have had that colored your perceptions on?
I mean, the first one was tied to the professor. Oh, I had my first one. I left them when we opened up the gym. The one that we started with left, and then we went under a different team, which honestly was pretty great. They helped so much for the business stuff. But when my ex left, there was a lot of drama, and I didn't have their support. Like, they knew that my ex was abusive, that he slept with a student. It was a whole bunch of nonsense, and they ended up having his back and not mine.
Got it.
And I joined a different team that on the surface level seemed really great, but they were a little more money-minded and business-minded than people-minded. And it's a people sport.
Yeah.
And the old school mindset of, like, again, as the purple belt, I can't tell them what to do.
Got it.
I can. Because, again, when students quit because they get injured, that is a problem.
Sure.
Right. And the next one ended up, this was, not trying to drag names of people, it's just my version of the truth. During COVID, he started teaching behind my back at a different gym.
Oh.
And again, this is during my pregnancy. And I didn't know. And then ended up focusing on the 20% of students that wanted to train unmasked. And it was during COVID. We're in Seattle. I'm pregnant. We're a respectful gym, right? And then when I went, the second lockdown was when I was 9 months pregnant. And he ended up throwing a tantrum on Facebook in our group, left, and took a bunch of students. So when I was a week before my due date, we lost $3,000 of revenue during COVID.
Oof.
So that was the last time I was under an affiliation.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, okay, so as a bottom line, if somebody were just branching out, or again, thinking about starting their own academy, or they were a brand new academy owner, are affiliations needed?
No.
Okay, fair.
I mean, some affiliations come with a pre-built website, the templates to get you started, the marketing support. That can be really helpful. But at the same time, if you work with somebody like Sun Planner, so I pay for the Studio version, that's the software for the member management. I also use Engagement, which is their CRM, which they have the website templates, they have the click the action stuff figured out, and I set all of that up on my own with some help from them.
Okay.
And honestly, on that side, the strength side, I don't talk to people until they walk in the door. They go online, they book their intro, and they get the confirmation text and the little automation that comes with that booking, and they might text if they have a question. But the way it's set up, it sets up their confirmation, like I have one at 6 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
It sets up the confirmation, and then they walk in there, and I'm over there, and we talk. I literally did no work.
And as a business owner or owner of multiple businesses, time is money, so that's awesome. Okay, got it. And that's Zen Planner that you use, and that's been the experience. Yeah. That's very cool. Well, okay. To switch gears for a second here, just on some philosophy questions, because I'm always curious about people who are teaching at a high level, running schools. Do you watch jiu-jitsu for fun? Like, will you watch competitive matches like somebody would watch a football game? Or
I used to.
Yeah.
It's been really hard this last year, and honestly, and I'm sure a lot of like business owners have felt this, and you might have. There are days where I'm like, why am I training? What am I doing?
For sure.
Do you have those days?
Yeah.
Because like right now, my focus isn't jiu-jitsu, it's weight training. Sure. It's strength building, it's not grappling. And honestly, I've been staying off of social media, so I haven't really been watching any clips on there. People ask like, oh, have you seen this video in this match? I'm like, no. There are times where I will, like when my daughter was 2, she would fall asleep to white noise, but really, we would watch matches. We'd pull up Mackenzie Dern, old school matches, Fionn Davis. She wanted to watch my matches, and she would ask, can we watch Auntie Fionn? Can we watch Auntie Margot? Because we'd have like Margot Ciccarelli up. Right. And so we'd have guests up, and she'd be like, can we watch the matches? And she would fall asleep watching matches. So that was a nice, fun little like... That's awesome. ...tradition we had. But recently, not so much. Got it. Yeah. I think we all kind of have our... anybody who trains for any length of time, we kind of fall in and out of love with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You always come back to it, I feel like, for the most part. But like I definitely have phases. I mean, the joke is it's the partner that will never leave you. Yeah. You can leave it, but it will never leave you, right? Because I've had members leave because of relationships. Mm. They get into a new relationship and they quit because time, this, that, whatever. They'll come back. Yeah. They do. It happens because this is the one other half that won't leave you. Yeah. Well, then, so a second question then that I like to ask everybody who comes on the channel, and I'm sure you deal with this already as a school owner a lot, but for people who are just thinking about starting jiu-jitsu or may have just started and they're on that vulnerable phase of things where it's really tough in the beginning and there's a high attrition rate, what words of sort of advice or wisdom would you impart to that person? So I actually do advocate shopping around. Now I say that with a caveat because if you're a beginner and you walk in here, like I guarantee you'll probably sign up because of the way that things are set up. But I've had people who come in, hey, awesome, I have like 3 other trials. Great, where at? Awesome. When you finish those, just hit me back and tell me if you want to come back here or if you signed up elsewhere. That's okay. If you have experience and you walk in here looking for a gym, I will talk to you about your experience and then drop like 4 or 5 other names in the area that you should check out if you're trying to shop around. If they're women, I will be a little more like, hey, this gym has a lot of women, check them out. This gym over here, be careful because they roll hard. I will answer that caveat because, again, safety is really important. Yep. So for anybody brand new starting off, like, does the gym have an intro program, like a fundamental curriculum? Can you ask questions? Do you feel really stupid if you ask questions? That's a really important one because a lot of gyms, like, that was me growing up in jiu-jitsu, I couldn't ask questions. I was weak if I did, right? Especially being one of the only women. Is there a diverse group of people in the gym? Is it a bunch of big, strong, athletic dudes? Is it a bunch of like hobbyists who work a 9 to 5? Are there a lot of moms and families? Families are a good indicator. Is there a variety of ages? A bunch of like young people and old people. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Sizes. Are there a lot of big and small people? Like, is there diversity? That's a really important part of looking for a good home gym. Because if there isn't, then it's a one-type school that focuses on one type of person.
Sure.
And everybody else who comes in, they're on the outside and they can never actually see progress.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Ooh,
No.
and the fun one, does the coach teach their own game or do they teach other things?
Okay, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because I visited a gym in Hawaii and every single person, guard pull, De La Hiva, which was a coach's game. I'm like, what the heck is happening right now? Every single person, like, right to guard pull, De La Hiva. So.
Well, okay, so would be my final question for you on this. And this is something that I, am figuring out how much of a struggle it actually is, right? You know, you've been training for 20 years and, you pick up jujitsu, but you can't know all of it. And so then when you're teaching, I feel like it's, you should be branching outside of your game to teach all aspects of jujitsu to people. How do you, as somebody who's the head coach, how do you keep adding to your game? Like, what sources do you use to, like, improve yourself? Because it's hard when you don't have a head instructor over you.
And honestly, I haven't really been doing much of that this last year.
Yeah.
But before that, I built out the curriculum that, okay, this week is this guard, this guard, this guard, and now we're going to switch to pass, 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 and then we're doing half guard, top and bottom, these 2 weeks. But then I will have a list of things I want to teach that I don't know. Because if I don't know it, I have to do the work to learn it, right? Sometimes I'll pick something that I want to work on, but really it's when I'm rolling with people, what's the hole, what's the gap, where are they struggling, right? Like I play a lot of turtle bottom, but not top, and so I had a stint where I'm like, okay, we're spending 2 weeks on turtle top.
Got it.
Right. So it's just or takedowns, right? Like judo, wrestling, shot defense. It's not my forte until I can teach it.
Got it. Makes sense. I love it.
Like, I play Spider Guard. I think I only have a couple of students that play Spider Guard.
See, that's, I think, a good indicator of a good gym, right? Yeah, that not everybody emulates the coach's game. So I'm striving hard not to.
I do a lot of spinny spin nonsense where I will spin the turtle and then go back to my guard. And I have a handful of students that might spinny spin to retain their guard.
It's a technical term.
Spinny spin.
Spinny spin. Right on. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sonia. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. Looking forward to the technique you're going to show us. And check out Combat Arts Academy here in Seattle.
Awesome. Thank you.